The San Francisco 49ers are off to a crazy offseason already. And it started with Brock Purdy's surgery being delayed because his inflammation in his arm didn't go down enough. So that's something to keep an eye out on. And then we also don't know if Brock Purdy is going to have like an extensive rehab or how extensive the surgery will be. So the timelines are anywhere from 6 months to a year. It really just depends. And recently, this offseason, Taylor Pepper, our long snapper, was re-signed, and they were also able to re-sign Jauan Jennings, and this guy is an absolute monster. His name's Third and Juwan for a reason, because in those third down situations, he's like gold is gold. And speaking of gold, we need to speak about the 49ers kicker, Robbie Gould. And currently there's a report going out that Robbie Gould isn't going to re-sign with the 49ers, so it looks like the 49ers are probably going to look in the draft for a kicker. And not just that, General Manager John Lynch also said he's looking for a possible quarterback to bring into the room. And it may be a free agent, but it also may be in the draft. And speaking about the draft and drafting a quarterback, this video, I'm going to talk about the quarterback I think the San Francisco 49ers should draft. And this guy's from Houston. His name's Clayton Tune, and he reminds me so much of Brock Purdy. He has a ton of experience, starting all the way since 2018, so that's a big deal. And what's another big deal about Clayton Tune is he can actually fit very nicely into the San Francisco 49ers plans, because I know they're heavily invested in Trey Lance, and they really like Brock Purdy. So rather than bringing in an old free agent like Matt Ryan who can barely throw, I think Clayton Tune is someone like Brock Purdy who has a ton of experience like Brock Purdy, like I was saying, and can plug in if Trey Lance is ineffective or hurt or something like that. And then hopefully by the time that happens, or if that even happens, Brock Purdy's ready to play. Then you have 3 quarterbacks on rookie pay scales. And, you know, the 49ers actually need that, like, cap space, because Nick Bosa is going to get paid a bunch of money. So without further ado, Clayton Tune was born 1999 in Plano, Texas on March 23rd. He's currently 23 years old, and he's 6'3" and weighs 220 pounds. In high school, Tune attended Hebron High School in Carlton, Texas. During his career, he had 6,686 passing yards with 66 touchdowns, and also tacked on 1,000 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns to go along with that. And coming out of high school, Clayton Tune did well enough to be a 3-star recruit and received offers from Kansas, Houston, and first he committed to Kansas, but Houston really won over his heart, and maybe that's something because it was his home state. Don't really know. That would be my speculation. But speculation aside, Tune was headed off to Houston in 2018. And 2018 was 5 years ago, and he started every year at least 1 or 2 games. So here we go. In 2018, he started 5 games. He had 59 completion, attempted 117 times, 50%, and 795 yards. And throughout his career, it really just improved, I would say. He got better as time went on. So his first year, like I said, he was at 50% completion. By his final year, he was at 67% completion. And that brought his career completion percentage up to 63.9, which is actually pretty respectable, especially in an offense like Houston, which has elevated numbers, but also is a little bit harder to complete at such a high rate. And here are some of the highlights that stand out from Tune's college career. The first highlight is that he made first team All AAC in 2022. He was the Brigham Bowl MVP in 2021. And an Independence Bowl offensive MVP in 2022. Another thing that sticks out is his godly numbers. I mean, this guy almost threw for 12,000 yards, right shy under, it's 11,989 yards. And how many games this guy played? He played 47 games. And for comparison's sake, Brock Purdy started 48 games and threw just above that at 12,170 yards, so their numbers are extremely comparable. Brock Purdy did have a better completion percentage throughout his years though at 67.7%, finishing his final year at 71.7%. Respectable, Brock, respectable. Clayton Tune's projected 40 is to be around 4.75 seconds, which I think is plenty fast, especially to go along with his height, so he can actually see over the offensive line, actually a little bit better than Brock Purdy, so that might be something that's advantageous for him for the next level. And Tune has a bunch of strengths, so let's break this down just a little bit. So the first strength has to be how many passes he threw in college. He threw a whopping 1,500 passes, 1,506 to be exact. And during his 5-year career, he put up a QB rating of 99.9. That's pretty good. Another thing that's extremely impressive to me is his ability to work his eyes through a defense. He reads them extremely well. It looks like he knows exactly what he's looking at. And I think just stepping into the Kyle Shanahan's tutorship as well as Brian Griese's, that should actually elevate Tune's ability to read an NFL defense. And his accuracy goes along with Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy's style of play well. He's extremely accurate in the short to intermediate game, and then those seams that go up the middle, he's good at connecting on those deep. So Clayton Tune also has a pretty quick release. It reminds me of Jimmy Garoppolo's quick release in a way. I'm sure Jimmy's a little bit quicker, but he also has a pretty good arm, better than Brock's probably, and then he also delivers tight spirals way better than Trey's. And the praises for Tune don't stop there. He's also a great leader. His coaches and teammates rave about him and just have so much respect for who he is as a person. Reminds me like some other quarterbacks the San Francisco 49ers have. But he's also really good as an athlete. He can make some of those plays that Brock makes, maybe not as athletic as Trey, but a good prospect. While there's so much upside to Tune, there's also some concern. So the first thing is he's kind of lengthy. He's 6'3" and only 220, and as an NFL athlete, he might not hold up, which is a concern for 49ers quarterbacks, as we know, going through 4 in one season, and I think that's a record. And yes, I'm still salty about it, and yes, I'm kind of crying because Brock Purdy hasn't got his surgery, but we're talking about Clayton Tune. And Clayton Tune also has some inconsistent mechanics. It's not as bad as like Trey Lance's necessarily, but his arm strength sometimes isn't what could be. And I think working with Brock Purdy's throwing coach would help a lot because Brock Purdy was able to add 5 miles per hour to his ball. So maybe by going to Will Helwit, who also knows Kyle Shanahan, that would be a good idea. And here's a great thing about Tune. He's going to be really cheap because he's probably only going to be a 6th or 7th round pick. And not just that, he's like an immediate starter quarterback if you needed to in a pinch. I mean, that's what Matt Ryan's going to be or any other quarterback the San Francisco 49ers can afford. So why not get a guy with a bunch of upside and could be a player like Brock Purdy possibly in the future? And just having more and more quarterbacks on your roster is great for the 49ers because they went through 3 starters last year. And I don't know any other team that was able to have 3 starters. So building in that insulation in the quarterback room is something the 49ers need to really trust and develop more. I mean, they need even more insulation than 3 quarterbacks. Apparently they need 4 or 5. I don't know. But what I do know is that I just talked for a ton of time. So now I want to hear your thoughts down below. And I'll try to get to everyone in the comment section. I want to know who you think the San Francisco 49ers should draft at quarterback, or should we pick up someone? Or do you think it's fine just having Trey and Brock there? Because general manager John Lynch already said he's not bringing back Jimmy at all. So that's something to keep in mind. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means a ton. Please subscribe, like, all that good stuff.